it, man.
Let's fucking do it.
But that's the great thing about like today, like
Yeah.
with social media. Get out and just do stuff.
Just do stuff.
And you know, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, just keep doing it till it does.
Well, bro, welcome to the podcast. So good to finally get you on here.
Oh man.
What?
I've been like watching, like
Yeah.
I like everything you guys are doing, and I'm
thank you.
learning from everything you guys do.
Oh,
which is
awesome. Perfect.
great, yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. Thank you. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself and we'll
Yeah,
crack into
my
it.
name is Tim. I go by the online name as TimProvises. Yeah, I'm an online. I don't want to say. I want to say the influencer, but I don't. You know, like I kind of am. I kind of not. Yeah, I have multiple.
Creator. You're a creator.
I'm a creator. Yes.
Yeah, content creator. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on. I was on the radio. Just finished up. Did TV with The Crowd Goes Wild with Sky.
Yeah.
And I have my own online series called The Bakery Run. And yeah, I'm just, like you said, I'm just a creator. I just like creating, coming from things from my brain, just out to the ether. So yeah.
That was awesome. When I started this podcast last year, like you've been like my brother Matt, he lives in Dubai. He watches all your stuff.
Oh wow.
And he's like, bro, you've got to get this guy on the podcast. And like it was weird, pretty much like, well, I went to New York.
Yeah.
So I had we'd had done all our filming already for the year. And so when I took to Shy, I was like, oh, hey, here's the list of names. Like, get the bro on the podcast. So, Matt.
That shit is so crazy to me.
It's crazy, eh?
It's crazy. Like, I mean, I just put things out.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who's. I remember, like, because I started off doing podcasts.
Yeah.
And I had, like, I was like the top 10 in like, Korea. And I'm like, what the why in the Korea? And then
That's
I found out, then people started reaching out to me and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's always expats. It's always
expats.
Yeah, and then people will refer you and word of mouth gets around. But yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Because legit, I didn't even know you knew me. Like I was like
no, 100%. Like, so my brother, I mean, he's an expat, right? He's living in Dubai. And so that expat community. And also like when he first went over, he was playing a lot of rugby. So his expat community is also the sports community. So obviously like the Sky Sports stuff played into it. So they probably recognize, you know, so there's a whole thing that led to it. But yeah, it's quite cool. It's quite funny that like, it was like, it would have been almost a year ago now. Maybe 9 months ago, 10 months ago. That he first said, bro, you got to get the guy, bro, on the podcast.
And as soon as the email came through from Shy, I was like, yep, I'm there.
I know. I saw the message back and forth, because she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. You got back to you straight away. Like, because usually it's like days later, people come back to her.
And I think I replied, I know the game.
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like to be left on scene.
Exactly.
And, you know, like you're just trying to create content. And the thing is too, is like, why would you say no? Like, I don't, like, I've got a rule and I'm probably going to break my rule here or not on this one, but I'm going to get a lot of people. Like, I try not to say no to any podcast because there's knowledge to be learned from both sides.
100%. I'm the same.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember the last time I said no to a podcast.
Yeah.
And I get asked to be on them all the time. But like, for me, it's like, well, one, that's less content my team have to make for me. Like, so that's less work. So I don't have to pay you to make the content. So that's great. But also like you get new audiences, you learn new things, you meet new people.
Yeah.
It always can lead to something else.
I know this is going to like, this will probably go online and there's going to be a lot of people going, you said no to me. You fucking said no to me, you bastard. And I'm like, fuck, sorry, man. But yeah, I try not to. I try like, unless there's something like I'm busy or like a legitimate reason, like regardless of levels of how big your podcast is or whatever. I think being a bit of a gatekeeper of knowledge is a bit shit.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
The only podcast I remember turning down was one because I was in Pukekohe.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh bro, like I really want to, but like that's like 4 hours out of my day. I just like do not have to do a podcast with 42 listeners.
There's always something, you know,
there's always something.
But no, when it comes down to, you know, just sharing this, you know, it's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, bro, as I said off camera, I wanted to jump in. I don't know like your full backstory because I've only watched your recent content. So I don't know where you came from. But you've obviously done like Sky Sport and you've done the radio, New FM and things like that. So like, how did you get into this world?
Man.
Tell me that story. Or where did it start?
It really started on Twitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was on Twitch. I started on Twitch. Just gaming on.
That is one thing I've never heard anyone in this podcast say.
Really?
Started on Twitch.
Yeah.
Not New Zealand, bro.
No, not in New Zealand. Well, sorry, my confidence started on Twitch.
Okay, got it.
I didn't get a following on there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Also gaming.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I started
Yeah.
from, and my confidence of being in front of camera kind of started there.
Okay.
I found like I was getting an audience, and the more I didn't play and I just paused the game and started talking to
Yeah.
people, the more I started growing. And I think I really learned the work ethic there. Because
Okay.
on Twitch, you have to be on every single moment.
Yeah.
Because the less you're on, the less impact you're going to have to the community, or
Yeah.
people won't be able to see you, so they're not going to follow you.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I was. I mean, being able to talk in front of people was not a problem with me. I'm a teacher. I was a trained intermediate teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's I come from that world.
Wow. Okay.
And before that, I worked in Oranga Tabariki Choice and Family with some of the hardest kids in New Zealand.
Yeah, crazy.
So that kind of taught me how to get instant buy-in.
Yeah.
And how to use your words and how to escalate and de-escalate situations. And then, that moved on from Twitch. And then from, Twitch is where I say that's where I learned most of my craft from.
Okay.
And that's around how to keep an audience.
Yeah.
How to set the tone so they know to stay around.
Yeah.
And how to build a community. And I learned a lot of that on the fly.
Yeah, I love that.
Nuts. Yeah.
What would you say in that? Like, because the build a community, like saying gets thrown around a lot. What does that mean to you? And like, what are some things that you think people aren't doing right in that space or could be doing better? What does it mean to you first?
For me, it means like I have people that are my honest, I don't want to say super fans.
Yeah.
But those are the people that are ride or dies for me.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I could be like, cool, I could depend on that person if I need them for something, and they can depend on me. It's a two-way street.
Cool. Yeah.
There's like levels to it, There's those ones. There's the ones that just follow you just to watch you.
Yeah.
But for me, on either Discord or in Instagram DMs, those are the ones that I'm like, cool, whatever you need from me, if you need me to show up, if you need me to send a voice message or something like that, I'll do it for you guys. Yeah. No expectations of payback at all. It's just me going, cool, man, like, what do you need? Yeah. And so that's my community. Or the other ones, hey, you could get into that community by just showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think what a lot of people are not, a lot of people that aren't doing that properly is being able to find out. It's hard too, because you have to read like, is that person really in it for me, or are they in it for the clout or the opportunities that I could give to them?
Yeah.
And you only learn that by trial and error and watching and go, it was a bit weird what they said. Like, it's a bit weird. I don't know about that. And just building that community and being that circle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to cut back real quickly because I just want to know, like, that building a community has been a bit of a buzz thing in our team at the moment, especially we have a full community management team who deals into that a lot. And like, for me, this idea of building a community is a hard one to comprehend because like, one of the girls in our team puts it really well. Like, you don't build a community, you earn permission to be part of it. The communities already exist. Yeah. You just get to permission to be part of this community, and then maybe be one of the figureheads of it.
Yes,
it's
also like being part of it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, what I like to do whenever I'm going into something, and I'm like, okay, my next thing is like 3D printing, right? I love that stuff. I love to be able to build something and stand it up and paint it. And I'm looking for ways that like I can produce content for that. Cool. So I'm on these Facebook, groups. Yeah. And I'm not like asking for anything. I'll go on keywords and I'll be like, I have helped me with this, and I'm finding content through that. And then I'm also finding answers to that content so I can become an expert in it.
Yeah.
And then I just have the power and the knowledge to make content. So I'll make it like that.
Oh, yeah. So you're just participating, right?
Yeah.
You're being participating.
Yes.
You're not just like some casual observer.
Yeah. Or someone saying, hey, buy my product.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do that. They're like, hey, look at me. I've made this, or I've got this course, or I've got this going on. But instead of being part of that community and being part of the growth of it, and if you're just looking to get a quick little score off it, it doesn't turn out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So you Twitch.
I took us on a bit of a tangent. So you're on Twitch.
Yeah.
And so wait, I just got timelines are confusing for me. So you're like teaching an intermediate and oranga tamariki, and then you went into Twitch? Like you were doing Twitch at the same time?
Yeah, I was Twitch streaming.
Yep.
As a like alter ego.
Yeah. Okay.
As a teacher,
of course.
Kids are kind of like, and then so I've got this alter ego called TimProvises.
Yeah.
Because when you change, and you've probably done it, or everybody's done it that's listening, you get a new teacher, and parents instantly go on Instagram or stuff, and they write their person's names.
Yeah. So
I was like, okay, TimProvises is my side name. That's my alter ego.
Yeah.
And my name is away. Yeah. So I have the two worlds separate.
Cool.
And then Twitch, I started getting fairly good at it.
Yeah.
You know, like I work with a lot of creators on there and got a lot of, freebies.
Yeah, nice.
A lot of contra.
Awesome.
And, but then I started realizing, oh man, like I could be a funny dude.
Yeah.
You know, and people are laughing at the things that I'm saying, and I was getting gratification from that. And then, and then COVID happened. And I was like, man, these people aren't here to watch me play the game. They're here to see me talk and be funny. So I just went from that. I went straight into podcasting.
Got it.
So I pivoted from playing the game to going on live and getting guests on Twitch.
Yep.
And just interviewing them.
Yeah.
And then that's when I really found my niche.
Got it.
That's when I go, well, I actually didn't find my niche. It was the guests that I had on were saying like, fuck, you're pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And it really changed.
Where do you think that came from? From teaching kids? Like, where do you think that ability to interview?
Yeah, I think a little bit came from oranga tamariki because I was able to think on my feet.
Yep.
Then it came from basketball coaching because I was doing that as well.
Yep.
Which you've got to manage personalities.
Yeah.
And then, I'm always asking questions, and teachers are just great questioners. They just ask a lot of questions.
Yep.
And adapt to that.
Yeah.
Like ask a question, that's where you got that math wrong. Okay, I understand that. Here's the solution. And I'm just always been a really curious person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, on Twitch, I was bringing guests on that have never been on Twitch before or didn't know what Twitch was. No. And it was crazy. Some of the moments I had on there interviewing people was nuts.
I love it. Who was at that time when you were doing it, when you were first jumping in, was there anyone who jumped on there like, fuck, when was the first person you had on there? You're like, fuck, I got this person on the...
Probably John Campbell.
Yeah.
When I got John Campbell on Twitch, it was nuts.
Yeah.
We had like 7,000 people watching it.
Fuck.
It was nuts. And like some of the, because it was all about the interactivity of like the chat, me and John Campbell.
Yeah.
And I was the conduit between it.
Yeah.
And some of the questions that the chat was asking were out the gate.
Oh, really?
And I was just like, and then he was reading it and I was like, no, don't read it, John. Please, don't read it. And then he read some of the stuff out and it popped and it went viral. And but from that there was, like Oscar Kitely. And, and people that I started like just interviewing gamers.
Yeah.
And then I interviewed Shay Fu, who's a gamer.
Yeah.
And that turned into, and it just snowballed.
How did you decide to like reach out to those people to start with?
Man, I just said, fuck it, I was just like, fuck it. And I kind of like knew, how could I say? I knew the scale of where I could reach.
Yeah.
Like I knew that I knew someone that knew Shay Fu.
Okay, got it.
So I said, I knew one of the dudes from Leisure Mystic, Donnie.
Got it.
So I interviewed him and I said, brother, that was a good interview. Can you try and link me up with Shay Fu? Then Shay Fu happened, and then these clips started going viral because it was like, wow, like Shay Fu's on Twitch like, and then once John Campbell hit, then it was like, whew, yeah,
that's next level.
Yeah, but no, it just kind of, there was there's DMs of some of the things that like John Campbell said to me. It was just like, wow, like he was like, man, you need to keep doing this. He was so good.
Yeah.
This is your lane, and then. Yeah, and then he helped me get Jack Tame, and then Jack Tame helped me get, it was.
So it's just started to snowball.
Yeah, and then then it opened up the bakery run from there. So,
yeah. And where did all the other stuff come from? Like, how did Sky Sport and New FM start?
Well, so really from the bakery run, to be honest.
Okay.
Well, I don't think all from the bakery run, but you know, because the bakery run came off the back of the podcast.
Yeah.
So the podcast was like my friend Will, who's an amazing camera guy / editor / everything.
Yeah.
He was he could probably tell a story better, but you know, he's like, I've got time, let's make something.
Yeah.
And then I had all these arguments online about bakeries.
Yeah.
Like everybody does.
Everyone does. Yeah.
And then he was like, let's just go and review one. And then we did. And then I was like, I got all these like guests that I interviewed.
Yeah.
We should just get them on.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's just do it. So yeah. And then it just.
What I love about this conversation is just like, just do it.
Oh,
that's fine. Like,
let's fucking do it, man.
Let's fucking do it.
But that's the great thing about like today, like with social media. Like all these people looking for funding and shit like, let's fucking do it. Like, just get someone that can hold a camera for you.
Yeah.
If you have someone that knows about it, that's great. But just get out and just do stuff.
Just do stuff.
And if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, just keep doing it till it does.
This is what I love this conversation because like this is what I say, and I say it to my team as well. And often they're like, "Yeah, but like how?" Because I'm like, just do it, like figure it out, like just do something, message some people, do some shit, right?
Yeah.
But like, because I get it, because that's how we build this company, right? Just fucking do stuff. Just ask people on LinkedIn, "Hey, do you need some help?" If not, okay, next person. You want to come on the podcast? No, okay, next person. Who cares? But like for you, like in those early moments of like getting people on, like, yeah, I might have known someone, but like, how did you know to even ask the person? Like, where does that, you know, like for you and I'm finding this question hard to ask because I think for me it's so intuitive. Like for me, it's just like, oh, you just do the thing.
Yeah.
Like I need this thing done, so I just do the thing. And then everyone else, like I'll talk to like some of my team, like, yeah, but Stan, like, what's the thing? What thing do I just do?
Yeah.
Do I do this or do that? And like, how do you like know you can just do stuff and not worry about the repercussion of it?
I honestly think it's just self-belief.
Yeah.
Like you just have to kind of go, I think we have a big problem in New Zealand about that is like, sometimes you just have to fucking you just have to tell yourself you're the best at stuff.
I love it.
You know what I fucking mean?
Yeah.
Like I had an interview one day and they go, where do you want to be in like 5 years or something?
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm going to be fucking Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Like I'm going there.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if I don't make it, fuck it. Who's going to laugh at me?
Yeah.
At least my kids can see me like trying to be there.
Yeah.
And I think like shooting for the moon and landing at the stars is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Like I got this list of guests that I want to interview at some point in time.
Yep.
And like I've already done like 3 out of the 5. Like you know, and it's cool because I did that when I was nobody, but I figured out like if I can just work and get good at my craft, I'm going to be undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is, right? It's like, but it's that work that a lot of people are kind of like, oh, but how? Yeah. How am I going to work? I don't know. Fucking just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. And
is it because you're okay with like in that early stages? This is what I think for me anyway. Like being in the early beginnings, knowing that when you're just doing the thing, it amounts to nothing until the moment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's lots of nothing.
Heaps of nothing. There's heaps of nothing.
How much nothing is there?
Nothing. There's no money coming in. There's no props. There's no likes. There's no reshares. There's none of that shit. And you just have to eat shit.
Yeah.
You have to eat shit.
Yeah.
Like, and but when you start like liking it, you're like, cool, I like being a beginner. I like that I can be a beginner at something and people see me fail.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know, coming through basketball and being a coach, like you'd express that. Like, it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
But you have to do that yourself too. Yeah. You can't be saying, oh yeah, fail forward, all that shit. If you're not ready to do you know, run straight like that, then you can't be saying that. But yeah, you're so right. And I mean, I think that alter ego that I created had no shame. Like I had no shame hitting up Joseph Parker. I had no shame going on like Twitter and going, hey, John Campbell, want an interview? Yeah. And then I had no shame telling all my community, hey, reshare this shit. If he sees this shit, we can get him on Twitch, you know? And they were like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. Because they had my back like I've had their back.
Got it. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. How much different is TimProvise to your real? Like how closely aligned are they?
They're probably like if TimProvise's was at there's different versions.
Yeah,
there's the Crowd Goes Wild one.
Yes.
Who has to be turned up to 12.
Of course. Yeah.
And then there's the interviewer one, which is it's closer to who I am.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think the interviewer one is, I mean, if normal Tim was like at a 5, the interviewer would be at a 7.
Okay.
You know,
Got
but the dude that's on Crowd Goes Wild needs to be
Yeah.
at 15.
Yeah.
And like I've started stand up, and stand up needs to be at a 15.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just, you know, I'm
Yeah.
just different avatars.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, like, we're all over the place now, but I don't really care.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I don't really care.
Chats, bro.
I don't really care. I'm going to keep with it. So you told me that you just stopped the radio. So tell me, where are you now? Like, just give everyone a full picture. Like, what's the landscape now for you and all your brains? Where are you? Like, what have you got on the cards? What are you working in? Where's the money coming from? How are you sustaining this? Like, give me what it is.
So it finished up radio. I'm contracted at Sky Crowd Goes Wild, so I get paid per story.
Yep.
But I was smart about it because I didn't spend my money.
Got it.
Everything I made in that 2 years so my story is a little bit like, just to rewind a little bit more. So we moved we were saving, me and my family. I've got 3 kids and my missus. We were up here. We were saving to buy a house. There was no way we were buying a house up here. It was nuts. So we all moved to Taranaki, and we all moved down there in rural towns in Taranaki to buy a house.
Yeah.
So we can get on the market, get on the bladder, and then we'll be able to do something later. During that transition, I had a little trial on the radio.
Yeah.
And then I got the job in May. So my missus is like, you need to go up, you know, just go, travel back when you can.
Yeah.
So she held it down.
Cool.
So that all happened. And then everything started snowballing. Yeah. Sky came up, PlayStation came up. Like, it was like all these, the podcast started. It was just like opportunity after opportunity started coming, and I started, but I'm not the kind that goes out. Like, I just I like to stay home and just fuck around. Like,
game.
And just create. Create stuff. And so I just stayed home. I saved everything, so it gave me a little bit of a cushion.
Cool.
But that's what happened there. In terms of coming off the radio stuff, you know, it's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to create something that's mine.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
And have you got those plans in place, or you?
I've kind of always, like, before I even left, and it will go, you know, like, I see what a lot of people are doing online. Going back to the streaming world will probably be something that I'm looking at doing.
Interesting.
Around, I mean, my audience is I have avatars for my audience, right?
Yeah.
So I have the bakery run audience, which is 25 to 35, male skewed, hardworking dudes, like apple pie, like a good chat.
Yeah. Then
I have the Crowd Goes Wild one, which is around the same, but they're mainly sports skewed. They love sport. They love a good joke.
Yeah.
Māori Pacifica mostly.
Yeah.
And same with the other one's is quite vague with bakery runs. And then I have my interview one, which is it's quite broad.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got these 3 buckets of funnels. And so I'm looking at kind of going, okay, how can I make something that's mine, that I own? And just looking at trying to take over that. But I mean, creating and social media is really what I love. Yeah.
How much can you share of that, or is it still under wraps?
I'm like, when your missus has when she's pregnant and you have the name of the baby. Yeah. And you don't want to say the name of the baby.
Yeah.
Because then they'll go, oh, they'll go, it's either like, wow, that's really cool. Or they'll go, oh, and then you lose confidence.
Yeah.
Like,
But kind of like that. So,
I'm still going to be interviewing. Yeah. Okay. I'm still going to be doing sports stuff.
Enough. So it's an interview
I'm still on
show.
Crowd Goes Wild.
Yeah. Cool.
And I'll still be, coming with the goods.
Yeah.
But I think I have I have a wider network than what I did when I was 100%. On Twitch. 100%. And I have, I can reach out to a lot more people and not feel a bit, so, but I'm just ready to get back to being the Tim that was hungry and doing 5 podcasts a week.
Love it.
Yeah. And being by my kids. Yeah. That's the most important thing there.
Okay. Yeah. And they're all still in Taranaki?
Yeah. So they stayed out there. I'd drive back every weekend.
Yeah.
Which is, we did it for 2 years. And
Shit, that must have been hard.
It was hard missing out on moments for me.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part.
That's it. For 2 years.
For 2 years, yeah.
And where did you stay up here? Did you have another place?
I stayed with
family?
my mum. My mum,
Okay.
my mum needed me to help her out and stuff, so I stayed there.
Yeah.
And then I had my own little spot in Marirewa. But it was just a juggling act.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was up here to work, and that's what I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I was radio from, 5 o'clock in the morning till 10, 11.
Yeah.
Sky from midday to 6.
Yeah.
Go home, sleep, wake up, do it again. It was good. It was nice. I loved it. I loved it because I was like, there's no excuses.
Nah.
There's no one telling me, oh, you should do more. Fuck, you do more. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
How did you, so when you're doing those two things and then you're doing your own stuff, was happening at night?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, right?
But I mean, I was used to that.
Yeah.
I taught in the daytime.
Yeah.
Then there was a time I had like 4 jobs, but it was like I taught during the daytime. I come home, I do an interview from 4 o'clock to 7 on Zoom.
Yeah.
Then I'd have dinner. Then I'd come back at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'd go 8 to 10, do another interview. And that's Monday and Tuesdays. And I'd just rinse and repeat.
What would you say to people who like, they can't do that because they got kids? Like, because you're 2 years, you lost a lot of them. So like, why was it worth it for you?
I just really wanted them to, I really wanted to show them, if you want something, you just have to work for it. I know that's really corny and cheesy.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say it. I wanted to show it to them.
Yeah.
And like the fruits of my labor now are what happened when they were younger and I was doing these Zoom interviews in my little closet at my house, pretty much. Yeah. With John Campbell of all fucking people, you know? And they'll go back. I mean, even my daughter is, my older girl is 20. Yeah. And my next one under her is like, she's 16, 15, turning 16. And she's starting to see now. She's like, oh, that's what you're doing in the room. I thought you were just yelling at, I just thought you were just gaming, yelling at people. Yeah. But it's, I've got receipts to show.
Yeah. So you think that the end product of what you've got out of this was enough for your kids to realize it was worth it?
I think so.
Yeah. What about for you personally, like in losing those moments with them?
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, doing a lot of parenting over Zoom and things like that. And it was rough.
Yeah.
And there was times where like, you know, I just wanted to turn it all in and just go back but I knew the end goal was, I need to, and my missus said to me about, you know, it must be cool being up there and being well known and the notoriety up here. And I had to just be straight up and I was like, I'm actually not up here for that. I'm up here to make money.
Yeah. And
if I can make some money, then I can, you know, we can pay this mortgage off quicker.
Yeah.
Then we can get a bigger house and then it's all good. Then I can come back and teach and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And she was great about that.
Yeah.
But it is hard. Like, there's times where, you know, my son, you know, he's getting into basketball and, you know, I want to help him, but I couldn't from Auckland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about like people, because like I get this a lot on some of my comments when I talk about like just working harder or whatever, and people are like, oh, it's nice for you to fucking say you live in a Ponsonby doing all the things, you know. But like I'm from Manadera too, right? Like I've come from that place. I know what it's like. So like I don't agree with the thing that like you can use your situation as an excuse, especially if you live in New Zealand. I think like, there's obviously people in New Zealand in pretty bad situations, but like, what about these people who use, what would you say to people who are like, oh, I've got kids, or I don't have any time, like I can't do more than 40 hours. Like, do you think that why should people do more than the norm 9 to 5 to get this stuff?
I really believe that our mind, like our brain, like I treat my brain like a puppy. And sometimes the puppy's going to piss on the ground and it's going to be like, and those mistakes that little puppies have, those are the obstacles that you put up. Like I always was like that. I was like, oh, I can't do that because of this. Oh, I can't go to the gym because of this. Oh, I can't do that because of this. It's always the because of this. And if you can somehow train that little puppy in your brain to just be obedient and go no, and just develop discipline, and it might just be an hour, like it might be 2 hours, it might be I'm going to go on and I think sometimes we say that we say because it's this, but it's actually not.
Nah.
And sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. Yeah, like you can go, oh man, like you know, I work a 40-hour week And I'm like, okay, well, there's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
You sleep for this much. If you sleep for an hour less, you can get up in the morning. You can maybe edit a video. Like you kind of have to develop those habits.
Yeah.
But if you're not willing to be like, just be like, my brain is like a puppy. Like you know what I mean? My brain's a puppy and I need to train it. Yeah. And if you're not about that life and you're not ready to admit that, then you're probably never going to make anything.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, what about the people then would like reply to that to say, well, fuck, like this hustle culture is like toxic and takes its toll on people. It's bad for mental health. Like you should have rest. And what about that sort of argument? Like, how do you feel like that? Like, how does that one resonate with you? And two, how do you reply to people with that conversation?
I think like with your Gary V's and all those people, they kind of glorify it. And there is times where you do need a rest, but you need to hit your maximum. And I hope like not to the detriment of your health, but you hit a point where you're like, oh shit, I need to rest. And I think for me is like now moving off on New FM and having some rest now is because I reached my maximum, I reached capacity, but I've pushed a little bit extra. So next time when I come back, I know a little bit extra.
Yeah.
And I do think like, like you have only you know what your maximum is. Yeah. But like I said before, like if your mindset is just keep pushing, have a rest, come back, see how far you can go, have a rest. It's just like weight training, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's going to be sore, but you have to rest. Then you have to come back and go harder.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's easy for me to say that, but like if you try it, and even if it's like, I'm going to do an hour, that's too much, come back down. I'm going to do 45 minutes. Then, okay, I could do 45 minutes after work. Okay, oh man, I could do an hour and a half, and you just keep kind of figuring it out, but make it work. If you really want it to work, you'll make it work. Yeah. If your dream is, if you've got enough confidence in yourself, like you'll fucking make it work. Yeah, you have to.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think the same. Like I'm obviously asking you questions that I agree with. I agree with everything you're saying, and like with me, it always surprises me every year how much more we do. Like every year, like last year when we finished the year, came back from New York, I was fucked. Like I come back from New York last year, I was absolutely burnt out, needed a rest. I went hard for 10 weeks. I'd already had a massive year. Got back in mid-December, ran this decompression week with the guys that we do our final week of the year as a group, and which is like just a bit of fun, but a bit of learning. And then I just crashed for like 2 weeks. Went to Queenstown, did nothing. And I said to my wife, I was like, fuck, like I probably need to take it a bit easier this year. And then I just did the opposite. Because like the level I was playing at last year now was the norm. Yeah. And I wasn't burnt out from doing it now. I'd had the rest. I'd come back and like I was like, I can juggle all these things. I also did some stuff about getting the right people around me, like Shai, who's my EA, like takes a lot of administration stuff off me that I just don't want to do. I hate doing. But you're right, like you do, maybe you can do 45 minutes and you have rest, and then maybe you can do an hour and then you have rest. And that's like this year, like now, like Claire's like, my wife's always like, I think you're trying to do too much. Like it's too much. Like, are you going to get burnt out? I was like, actually, you know what? Like I feel better than ever. Like I feel better than ever because last year I was trying to do these things, but I didn't really know all the ways to do them. And so I was being a bit of like what I call a busy idiot. I was doing lots of stuff but not really moving forward.
Yes.
You know?
I know exactly what you're fucking talking about.
But the 2 or 3 weeks I had off over summer gave me the mental space to go, like this. Okay, got it. Yeah. So now this time I do it, it's easy. Yeah. It's like it's easy to do.
Yeah, 100. And I think you're so right with that because like you've figured it out.
Yeah.
And because like when you have a critical kind of mindset and you can understand like how you work and then you understand where your flaws are and where you can get better and your things and your strengths, obviously, then you can go, okay, yeah, I know I could go harder, but let's try and help with those flaws and get and alleviate the pressure from that.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think was the you bringing on Shai and you going, okay, that's off my shoulders now, I can go for it?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of it getting the right people around me. I think I'm like, it's probably my best skill that I have is getting the right people around me. It's like the thing I probably celebrate about myself the most is that I know how to ask for help and I'm not afraid to delegate.
When did you find that out?
I still remember the day. So I used to work in Surfers Paradise at a hotel called Holiday Inn in Surfers Paradise, and I was working the pool bar. And I had a massive day. We must have done, I don't know, 10 grand in sales. Just me. Got absolutely smashed at the pool bar. But it was a shit fight. And it didn't really go that well. I just made heaps of money. And I was on top of the world thinking, fuck, this is huge. This is the biggest day we did in the pool bar. And my ex-boss, who's passed away now, but at the time, Vickers, he comes up and he's like, and I was like raving to him. He's like, okay, cool. But all this happened. And and you could, and if you had to fix this could have all happened. Maybe that 10 grand would have been 15 grand. Blah, blah, blah. He could have knocked me down a peg. And he pulled me aside. He's like, look, I don't want to like burst your bubble, but you want to be a leader, and the best leaders in the world know when to ask for help. And if they don't know how to ask for help, then they're not really leading. They're just selfish. Yeah. And leaders aren't selfish. And then so I still remember him telling me that, and I like, at the time I was like, oh fuck. It was like disappointed dad conversation. Yeah. And so that was it. Like that moment stuck with me. I still remember it so clearly that from then on I was like, okay, this situation has happened. Who can help me fix it? It can't be me. If I'm the only one who can do this, then I'm being selfish because I'm letting the whole team down. That's where the selfish part comes. Like if you try to do everything yourself, you're actually being really selfish because you're not the only person who relies on this. Yeah. You've got a family who relies on you to do the things that you got to do. I got a whole team. Their families rely on them to have a job. And if I fuck this business up, then their families are let down from me. So it's like a real selfish thing. So I just started to understand that really well.
I think the ability to decode that message is more important than anything else.
Yeah, 100%.
Because when someone's giving you advice and they see potential and they're trying to say, hey, this is something that I've seen. You have this innate kind of human nature to just go, fuck you. You know what I mean?
100%.
Now, fuck you, I just made 10 grand. But the ability to go, hold up, you might have a point there. And then to critically analyze that. And then to move on to that is a huge thing.
Oh, massive. And look, to be honest, like at the time, I definitely was like, fuck you, Vickers. Like I just had this thing, right? But I went home that night and I thought about it. And because it just grated on me, like, why did he do this to me? Like I thought I had an awesome day, but then like it was pretty much the next day. I realized like I've always been the sort of guy who I emotionally react to things because I'm quite like passionate person, and so I'm emotionally react to stuff. Or like the guys will ask me stuff even in this team, and I'll snap back with an answer. But you give me like a moment of clarity just to think about it, and I'll be like, oh shit, that's actually this. And so at that point in time, I definitely was like, oh, whatever, Vickers, like, fuck. But like, I couldn't not solve it inside my head. I was like, why did he say this? And like, I still have that now. Like, I said to my wife, Claire, like, anything you want me to be if you want me to be anyway, get me to emotionally react and realize that as soon as I do that, my subconscious is going to solve for whatever you want, and then I'll do whatever you want moving forward. Like, so she knows now. Like
that's chess right there.
Oh mate, she's got me
that's
good.
That's fucking chess. That's not checkers, bro. That's chess.
100%. So she'll do something where I'll snap at her, and then she's like, "All right, whatever." I'll snap at her, like just clap back.
Yeah.
And then, but I'll go away and go, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, how do I solve for this to never have that happen again?" So she can never have that with me. Yeah. Which she knows is the thing I had to do anyway, so she gets her way.
See, man.
Oh, fuck.
She's on some.
She knows, bro.
She's on some fucking Da Vinci Code shit right there, bro.
100%. So yeah, like that, getting help around me was huge, and understanding I needed it, and that spending, like I was doing my team a disservice by not getting the help, because by not having the help, I was slowing everyone down.
Yeah,
like the company needed to move forward, and I was the handbrake because I was trying to do too much.
Even that's quite. Revealing, you know what I mean? Like you've got to humble yourself.
Yeah.
If you know you're not the fastest wheel on the cart, and to be able to acknowledge that is a huge thing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that don't want to. They're like, no, I'm a huge part of it. But it comes back to what you said. Like it's a very selfish thing if you're not honest with
absolutely
performance.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And there's still stuff I like gatekeep and I hold on to and like I can't let go of. And the guys, there's heaps of stuff that the guys wish I would just release. But like, it's all relative, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at the amount of things I do delegate and give up, I'm probably like one of the, for a company our size, I'm probably one of the best leaders at giving stuff away to do, like and letting go of things.
Okay.
But it's all relative because then they're like, oh well, you give all this stuff away, give that stuff away too, Stan. Like hand us over delegate us all this responsibility as well. But I'm like, fuck, I got to hold on to some controls. This is my company at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
Like actually, that's not really the best way.
Yeah, but
because like you've got to keep not control, oversight.
Yeah,
I have oversight of it all. Like I know what's going on, but I don't need to control what's going on.
Yeah, but that's hard. Like a lot of people don't know the difference between those two things. No. That's where micromanaging comes. That's when a lot of times you're like, man, like chill, man. I know how to do my job.
Yeah.
And when failure and success of doing your job, sometimes you just have to be straight up and have candor. And that's where I think that's why I think New Zealand goes really wrong too. Yeah. Is that we're not prepared to just be candid with what we want to say. And we're not prepared to receive candid thoughts.
Yeah.
And when it comes to a product, like the product is the goal. Yep. Like that's whatever the product may be. You may be doing sneakers. You may be doing like video content. You may be making a movie. If everybody in that team doesn't have the ability to be candid and use candor in their feedback, then is it really a cooperative situation? I don't think it is.
Nah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like I think it's a real English speaking world thing. I can't remember the name of the book, but I've read a couple of books about this concept of like different languages and in themselves the way the language is enables people to talk around an issue as opposed to direct to an issue. And so you get like cultures that are on spectrums of like very direct and then read between the lines. And so some people like Germans are really well known at being quite direct.
Yeah.
Right. And so their language enables them to say the thing they want to say really well. And then English is somewhere in the middle. Like and in all the English speaking countries, Americans, Britons, Australians, somewhere sit in the middle. But then you have things like Hindi, and there's like a lot of languages like Hindi or Japanese that actually you never talk to the actual issue. You always talk around it, but it's just culture and language that does it. It's not that type of people that are.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's just language and
because
culture.
They have the tools in their language, wherever that language may be. In German, there's probably a 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 cultural words that are just like, no, you're fucking up, like and fix it. But that totally fucking makes sense.
Yeah.
Heaps of sense.
Oh, and it's such a like hard thing in English, like because when you are direct, our words are quite harsh to be direct, and they're quite absolute. And absolute's never the answer because nothing's never and always right. Yeah. Like even that saying's wrong because sometimes there's exceptions, but like never and always get used a lot in feedback and candor. Yeah. And they're not the right words because they're absolute. And in English, we have these really absolute words that then like stop things from moving forward because people are like, if you're like, oh, you never do that. It's like, well, is it?
That comes back to what you said at the start.
Yeah.
It's like, why like asking people for an interview? Because they might say things like, oh, I'd never do a podcast.
Yeah.
Then everyone's like, oh, well, fuck, I'm not going to ask him. But there's other ways. There's ways and means around you can get that done. But
we don't really have the language, right? Because like you said it with you and I'll never say no. Yeah. You say I'll never say no to a podcast, and the reason you say that is because there's no real word for. I'll say yes as often as I can unless some other things like this happen.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to say no.
It's the word economy, right? Because then that takes me fucking 10 minutes to explain it, whereas another language would only be, And
like in the German language, like, I don't know how to really explain it, but they like run words together so they become one word. And if you look at German language, like it looks like they got all these really long words, but it's just how their language is structured. You end up just running the sentence together as one word. And so you can get a lot across and a lot of meaning across in one go. I don't know a lot about that. I'm not a linguistic expert, so no one fucking fact check me on that. But there is some shit about it of like language and culture dictate the way people are. And I think you're right. Like Americans, Kiwis, Aussies, Brits, like we skirt around it a bit. But the problem is like being in the middle, I actually think is worse because we skirt around it, but then when we get frustrated, we get real direct, and then that's where the candor comes out is lost because now you're not having candor, now you're just being an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's the part that's really hard to navigate. But I think what I say to my guys, like I have this saying of like I don't know where I heard it from, but people pleasing is the worst form of people pleasing is a form of assholery.
Ooh, I
right?
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, people pleasing is a form of assholery. And the idea like behind it is that when you're nice to people, you're actually being an asshole because you're not telling them what they need to know.
Yes.
You're telling them what they hear to feel good. But actually that doesn't help them move forward or overcome anything.
And then on the flip side of that, like I think a lot of people, if you are just direct, then you're just an asshole anyway.
Exactly.
So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So
you got to find this right bit in the middle, which is the candor approach.
It's too hard. Like I just want to be like, nah, like here's the product.
Yeah.
This is what I want to get out of this product. This is what I want us to create. Yep. And that's why I think like going out independently, like I'm going to do, is going to be like, for me, it's just, because I can just go, you know, and yeah, it's liberating. And it's the same thing with stand-up. It's like I've got into stand-up because I can go, cool, like I can live or die by how much prep I put in. And then that's it. It doesn't depend on if somebody else shows up or they turn up on time or whatever. No. It's like that you bombed because you didn't prep. Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. That's beautiful to me.
Tell me, like, from that then, as you go out on your own, like, how big does it become? Like, what's the limit for you? Are you trying to grow this into an empire? Like, are you trying to have the Matt Rife of comedic stuff? Are you trying to have the Joe Rogan of podcast? Like, or are you trying to go, as long as I take care of my family, I'm good?
There's elements of that. Right now, I think, like, I've planned it up, like, the next 2 or 3 years is really becoming a beginner at something new and looking after my family. But yeah, I mean, I've always had the goal, and I've done it like heaps of times with people. Like I want a late night talk show, like, or some form of show where it's me and another person and we're talking about it. And then, you know, I'm helping. I think that's my superpower, is the ability to bring personality out of people. Yep. And no matter how, you know, rigid they are, I can crack those codes really easily. Yeah. And that's the end goal, is if I have my own late night show in America, then I'm good. And that's a huge goal. Yeah, but massive. I'm glad it's huge, because if I fail, at least I got close to it. And then probably that. And then the YouTube thing intrigues me. Yeah. Because not because of money, but because that's where everybody goes. Yeah. It's the NBA.
All roads lead to YouTube.
Yes. And I think a lot of people, I think I was quite oblivious to that. You know, starting on Twitch, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just Twitch all day. And Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. Yeah. And then I've totally so I'm looking at niching down on a few things, especially with the 3D printing world. Yeah. I'm going to niche down on that, and I'm just going to take that on and see how I go. Like, fuck it. I've got network. I've got, you know, I know how to edit. I know how to shoot. I know how to, you know, audio engineer. I know all that stuff. I just have to get my shit together and put all this energy I spent getting up in the morning at 5 o'clock and prepping a show and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And just place it over here. Yeah. And we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. And so short term, take care of your family, build something from scratch. Long term, take over late night TV.
Hell yeah. And why couldn't I? Like, I look at like late night TV in America, like Trevor Noah
Trevor Noah is the best, because like, bro, the brother came out of South Africa, grew up no different. Like, have you read his book?
Yeah, I have.
It's like, fuck, it reminds me of my childhood growing up in Manadua, like bootlegging CDs and stuff. Like,
it's the best
to get to the top of the TV network.
Yeah. And so South African, James Corden, UK, you know, and then you've got your Jimmy Kimmels and your Jimmy Fallons, who are comedians. So I look at the blueprint and I go, okay, they're okay with foreigners, but comedies, you know, and they're all three of them, with the exception of James Corden. Oh, well, I suppose so. Come from the comedic world. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, let's see how that works. And you know, fuck, shoot for the moons. Like, let's do it.
That's it.
Yeah. And so it's pretty cool to, like, I've always had that from when I started the podcast, to Bakery Runs, to Kroger's Wild, to everything. I'm like, okay, how can I get how can I get another notch? How can I get more XP to put on my notch to get towards that end goal?
Yeah.
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 And stand-up's one of them.
Tell me about the stand-up. Like, when did that start and how did you get into it and where are you doing it?
So like Pax Asari, who's one of the best in New Zealand. I just reached out to him. I had him on my podcast.
Yeah.
I was actually his coach mentor for basketball.
Oh, okay.
That's how I knew him before he kind of blew up.
Yeah.
And then so I had a link there. So I hit him up and I was like, dude, I think I want to give it a go. And he's like, bro, I've been telling you for ages, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he just gave me the blueprint. Here's how you write. Here's how you get it done. I gave it a go. I did all right at it. And then it was just so hard because, I had to go to sleep at like 9 o'clock at nighttime. And then just slowly just got into it. And then I stopped for a little bit. Then now I'm just getting back into it because I have some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great being a beginner at something.
Yeah.
And failing at something.
Where does someone do that in Auckland, New Zealand, or anywhere?
Yeah. So the classic is the main one that's in Queen Street. That's the
Comedy
hub.
house.
And then you have these little open mics and you go out to, they have bars and there's like 4 people in it. But at least you're getting up there and you can run a couple of ideas off.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
And because I know if I can grab that skill. And I also notice like the people that can open those doors, they look there to find new talent.
Yeah.
They're not looking on Instagram and they should be, but they're not.
Nah.
But they're not looking there. They're looking at these people that can get up on stage and riff.
Because there's still something else there, right? Being able to do it in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
Then doing it on camera.
Oh, 100%.
It's a whole nother skill set.
There's no re-record. Nah. There's no push to pause. Oh, no, that one's the thing.
Hecklers. All the stuff that comes with doing something on stage.
You forget your punchline or you forgot a thing that sets up the punchline. You're like, fuck, where do I go from this? But then, your hecklers, your crowd work, there's so many elements to it.
Yeah.
But I've got some really good people around me that are helping me and putting me in positions where I could try things.
Yeah.
And and be able to, and people that just tell me I'm shit, or tell me I'm good.
The best people to have around here, though, right?
Yeah, oh, man, 100. And they're like, nah, I don't think that one worked. And it's cool. It's cool to just be, like I said, just start from scratch or something. And I think a lot of people are scared to do that.
Yeah, because how old are you now?
I'm 39.
Yeah, so that's for people to start something new at 39, it's tough.
Oh yeah, Yeah, but I mean,
that's a big change for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people get nervous at that.
But I've kind of lived a really vast life. Basketball coaches took me all around the world. I went everywhere, and then teaching took me all around the country, and I've lived a really I've got all these tools from these different places.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, okay, cool. Now I can, and I did it all for other people. I basketball coached to help the kids out.
Yeah.
I taught to help kids, learn and all this stuff. And now I'm like, no, I'm going to try and create something for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why not? I'm a creative person and I need an outlet.
Yeah. What do you think's gonna stop this? What do you think your biggest challenge for making this work?
Oh, sheesh. I think for me, I think it's just keeping my self-belief.
Okay. Explain that to me.
Yeah, you're always going to have, there's always, these people that are online, I've got this real hard exterior, but I know that's a lie. And I know that, it's just doubters and things get to you all the time. And I think for me is I'm good at deflecting and I'm good to go, they don't know what they're talking about, but who knows how much life that shield has in it? It's like the deflecting. You can only deflect so much at one time, and that's the realest way I could put it.
Yeah,
because you the vanity metrics of things. A lot of people say, and they don't affect me as much as others, but I know it affects people.
Yeah,
and I only got this X amount of likes and X amounts of followers for this, but for me, that's why I want to just try the stand-up stuff and try something else. So life doesn't revolve around my self-confidence off what goes on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's probably the realest I could put it.
Yeah.
Because,
it's tough.
Yeah. And vanity metrics is the craziest thing when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's how many likes and how many follows and how many things you have. It actually doesn't calculate how skillful you are at a craft.
No.
You look at somebody like a Mr. Beast who has millions. He's great at what he does.
Yeah.
But the craft of making a video and being like, here's the hook, here's this, here's how I'm going to tell the story.
Yeah.
That's why he has that many people. That's the outlier.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be thousands of people that have, you know, way more followers than the most talented, I don't know, ballerina.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that that ballerina is any less skillful than anybody else.
No. Yeah. I talk about that with clients a lot of the time. Like, creating content to get followers is different to being the best in your field. They're not the same thing. Being the best in your field doesn't mean that that's instantly best content.
Yes.
You know, they're two different things. Is Mr. Beast, like, he's the best at making content for YouTube and short form video platforms by far. Can go off. There's not many people who can rival him. But that doesn't mean that, like, if I'm going to make a movie and make a really good movie and only maybe 1 million people see it, doesn't mean, like, that's still a lot, but like a big blockbuster, doesn't mean you're shit at movies because Mr. Beast got more, because it's a whole different thing.
Yes.
But also, if you're like an accountant and you're the best fucking accountant, doesn't instantly mean you're going to get millions of views.
Yeah.
You know, but like people are like, but I'm so good, I want to showcase, and people surely like the best. And I was like, it's not how it is.
My goal is to be the best interviewer in the world.
Yeah.
And I am a nerd. Like, I am watching videotape. I am observing body language.
Yeah.
I'm looking at everything. That's why, like, when I got invited on here, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Because I see. Yeah. I see the skill. Yeah. I see the craft. And for me, like, that can translate online.
Yeah.
But see, that comes back to that question, is that I'm totally need to go, nah, fuck that. I need to be the best at what I am.
Yeah.
I need to be the best interviewer. I need to craft out questions that nobody's asked before that are better than anything somebody on the street will just ask you, somebody, you know, like, so that's all I'm looking at doing.
Yeah. And like what I say to the people in that instance, like, if you're going to be the best interviewer, cool. You will eventually find a really good audience who will want to watch this. You're not going to be Mr. Beast. They're two different things. He is only making content for viewership. Yeah. That's it. Because for him, viewership is more eyeballs is more advertising, more chocolate bars getting sold, whatever it is. So you have to understand, like, where you play in and what lane you play in. And also, like, being the best interview is an interesting one, because, like, my philosophy, at least, and the team sort of, I mean, they have to deal with it because I pay the bills, right? But like, it's really hard to be the best at anything. Yes. And actually, what's the measure? So, like, when you think of that, like, as being the best interviewer, what is the measure? How do you go, yep, got it?
Mine's impact.
Okay.
If I can impact on the person that I just interviewed, then that's all that matters to me. Like, if it gets, like, I did a Sean Strickland UFC interview, and it was a funny interview and it went viral. I couldn't give a stuff if it went viral. I knew that Sean Strickland will remember me if I see him again. I saw him the next day. He says, "Hey, it's the Penguin guy," and I'm like, "Cool." And same with Israel Adesanya. Like, you know, like I knew I needed to impact him, and I learned his full name, and it was so hard. It took me 6 months, but I got it. Yeah. You know, and because it's the impact. Yeah. And it comes back to that John Campbell interview, because I went and I worked my ass off. When I got the AOK to do that John Campbell interview, I worked my fucking ass off. I went to the National Library. I put in extra amounts of work. I was in his yearbooks. I was going at it, because I knew that if I could impact that, then it could possibly gives me another interview with somebody else. And, you know, but then I got better at the craft. Yeah. And it's really about that. Like, you know, and I say I really couldn't care about the views. Of course I'm going to care about the views. Of course. I'd be silly. I'd be a liar if I sat here and go, I don't care about views. Yeah. Because I want more people to peep the technique. Yeah. I want them to see, oh shit, this guy knows his shit. Yeah. And then that opens up doors for me later. And that ultimately will lead to the end goal, hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, it's really impact on the person that I'm interviewing and the viewers. Yeah. And they know me as that. Yeah. Because I get a lot of people know me as the pie guy. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and that's...
So it's quite an intrinsic thing then.
Yeah.
So it's like, and the reason I brought that up is because, like, for me, that is the best answer. Yeah. Because, like, if you had to try to sit here and told me like some metrics of how you become the best interviewer, I would be like, bro, you're probably full of shit. But like the fact that it's like an intrinsic thing that's like, no, I'm the best if I can have this impact on them that I can see and feel, and I know that they feel it too, then I'm the best.
And like I look at like the people that follow me, and even I buzz out at some of them. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, because they, and I feel it when I go into a room. Like I went and I interviewed the Kiwis, the league team, and I could feel all of them wanted, they wanted an interview by me. And like, I'm not even a league guy. Like I'm a basketball. I don't know half of these people, but because they see me on social media or they've seen a share of someone or this person, they're like, oh my God. And I could hear them like, oh shit, like, oh, that's the, and I'm like, fuck, you play for the fucking Melbourne Storm, mate. Like I should be like that with you, but I don't watch league. I don't know who you are. But then little by little, you know, you can sense it. And then that's the impact I care about. I don't care about like, you know, like I don't care. Oh man, this I interviewed Stacey Jones and that, and it got like X amount. As long as I made an impact and people are excited to have me around because I'm an interviewer, then I'm good. Like I'm fine.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's why like Kroger's Wild, I was so like fortunate to get on there because it opened me up to, you know, more opportunity. Yeah.
How do you plan on like? I know you said you got a bit of money saved and all sorts of stuff, but you're out doing your own thing. How does this start to be monetized for you? Like, is it just brand deals? How are you Twitch streaming donation? Like, how do you make your money now that you're going? I know you got the Kroger's Wild stuff still going, and fine, maybe that's enough. But like, how do you sustain this? Like, and the reason I ask is like, lots of people watch this podcast and go, I want to start making content and creating my life this way and doing whatever. But like, how do I make money?
I think a lot of people, and you know, I've thought about this long and hard.
Yeah.
I think we need to start reversing how it actually works.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, it's influencer. It's okay. You get, you know, you do some skits, you do this, you do that, you get big. You know, companies hit you up and they go, "Hey, could you do?" You know, the influencer society, the economy of that. But I feel like it needs to be switched around where you have a product and then you make content for it.
Yeah, okay.
Because I feel as if that's more organic. And it also, like, if you have a product that you own and that's your product, then you can branch off and then you make things around it.
Okay.
And that's a harder road to run down. But at the same time, you're not at the mercy of clout and you're not at the mercy of that person's hot right now. Let's get them on. Yeah. And somebody else's opinion. Like let's say, I don't know, Coca-Cola, I'm just throwing them out there.
Yep.
They'll look and they'll go, that, you know, like, oh, that guy's getting X amount of views here. Like, we'll give him a couple of grand to do something. That's cool. Like, that's fine. But imagine if it was the other way around where you were the Coca-Cola and you created a brand and then you organically made content that kind of went into that.
Yeah. Okay. And when you say product, like for people listening, what do you mean by that? So is it a can of Coke? What is it?
It could be anything. Like for me, it could be a course that you're doing. It could be like you just have to find out what you're really good at.
Okay.
I'm really good at interviewing. I could do a course on how to instantly get somebody to like you. And then I do that. Then I have all these videos of like first impressions that I've had of people. And then, you know, like obviously the call to action, you know, try not to be too obvious about shit. But, you know, hey, if you want that, it's here. Or it could be anything, like if you make things, if you're an artist, if you have, you know, like you have something there, a subscription-based service. Like I'm looking at like Mark Rober, for example. Perfect example of like organically selling a product. The product of these, the kits that he makes. You know, he had one where it was like the world's biggest Nerf gun, right? But
so good.
In the kits, there's how to make a Nerf gun. And then he's making this one. And he's like, man, if you want to make one, get your kids to make these ones. Yeah. Away you go. Yeah. So that's what I mean around this organic.
That's the best ad I've ever seen in my life, that video that he did that.
And he does it every month. And like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's organic and there's nothing really like blatant about it. And it's his niche. And it's people that follow him for the engineering stuff, and they're interested in science, and they've all got kids. And then he's doing adult ones now. And it's like, you know, like if you could figure out a way to do that somehow, then I mean, yeah, you can be your own boss.
Do you see your podcast as the product as well, or do you see it as a top of funnel strategy to get people in to then find the other product that you actually sell?
I think the next realm of what I'm going to be doing, that will be the product.
Yeah. So the content is the product.
Yes.
You can sell the content.
And
is that, can I just ask, sorry to cut you off.
No.
Is that because like you've seen the Sky and the New FM world where content is sold essentially? Or bought and sold? Or is it just because you've gone, nah, I've got the right people, I've got the skill set now, I can make good enough content?
Yes. I think it's the confidence.
Cool. Got it.
Because I look at what they do and I think, nah, that's not, they could do that better.
Yeah.
I could do that better.
Yeah.
And but I think it was the confidence of doing that.
Yeah.
And going, man, you could actually, yeah. And then you see people that are, and I know how the Twitch, and I know how the streaming world works, and I know how the Twitch world works, not just Twitch in general. I probably would never go back to Twitch. But I think I do see that if you're funny and you're good at something, I mean, it's really those E's, right? You know, you either entertain, you educate, and you engage. Like those 3 E's. If you can get those 3 E's down, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And you've got to find a way to in the middle of it somewhere. But at the end of the day, like I know I can bring value, and people will pay for value.
Yeah.
If it's good and it helps their world, helps their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I often find that where, especially in the beginning stages of monetization, where a lot of people go wrong in the product conversation is that they underestimate the level of effort needed to make a product that will sell without damaging your brand. And actually, like sometimes in the early stages, service is easier.
Yes.
I think product's like the top tier.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, if you can create a product, then that's the best, because a true product's scalable to infinity, right? Whether or not it's physical or digital, because you can get a manufacturer, make it physical or digital. I mean, it's numbers, right? Zeros and ones. But that's actually like the pinnacle in my mind of like where people or creators can get to. And I actually think it's like a lot harder than what people think. I don't think people can't do it. I think especially young people struggle with it. It's really hard. Like I know like even like Connor building his t-shirt brand out, his clothing line brand out, like how many hours went into him actually even getting it to launch. It's like so much work and money, right? Like you spend a few $1,000 like getting it all done. And I think which is like, but I think like where a lot of people, the service piece is like really valuable. Like even a service that even our company would hire you for, people like you, for instance, is your ability to produce a show. You know how many people like don't know how to produce podcasts? It's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like we suck at it. Like for us, it's like something we grind away at and we just do through things, but like, it's like a skill set, you know? And I think like a lot of creators have this service-based business that they could provide, which doesn't have to be on site, like it can be virtual.
Yeah.
But I think there's like an easier win to get cash flow. You're probably in a different position in life where you don't need the few $1,000 here and there.
Yeah. I think sometimes.
Yeah.
There was this analogy I read somewhere, and it was like, if you're walking down the street and you see 10 cents on the ground, would you pick it up? And a lot of people would say no. I would say no. And then it was like, if you walked past and there was $1 on the ground, would you pick it up? And they're like, oh yeah, some of them say no. If there was $100 there, would you pick it up? Hell yeah, like everybody would pick up. And like, I need to think about myself as being that $100 on the ground. And if I can add value to somebody that picked it up, then that's a fan that I have. That's somebody I can depend on to help me out when I need it, you know? And not that I, use it like, oh, I need likes or anything, but I know that they've got my back right or die. And it's really about like, and you're so right. Like that product, like a physical product, that is harder to get than a service. And, like even just passive income of doing courses, like there's thousands of people that would love to learn how to use Canva, like use, I did a stint at Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, and it was just helping kaumātua on the marae using a laptop. Yeah. And, like, I was just like, you just don't know what people want. Yeah. And for that, they needed that because they were getting scammed out of money and they were doing all this. But it was that service that I was like, cool, man, like, let's help. This is easy for me, but maybe it's not for somebody else. But yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think that there's like people underestimate what people don't know and what they'll pay for and what help they'll need, or what people will pay other people to help their family with. Like there's stuff like, you know, like you get old parents who like need help doing stuff around the house or whatever. Like you just don't know where service-based businesses can get to.
Yes.
And I just think like I always have this conversation with people, like especially younger people trying to create some product. I'm all for it. Like go for it. Like obviously when Connor was doing his stuff, it was like cool product. He'd really believed in it. If you guys only had some success, but like it's real hard. And like the only reason I would have suggested him because he like came in every morning, like fucking grinded away, did all the stuff, did his research. But most people won't do that for a product, and that's the reality of what it takes. Even now, right? Like so hard. Like hasn't even got second drop yet because he's like third. Yeah, he's working on it, but like it's been taking ages because it's so much grinding to do it. Whereas like a service-based thing of like let's say you're a content creator and someone needed I need some help creating content. Like fuck, the businesses pay heaps for that, or people pay heaps for that, at least to get you started.
Yeah,
to get you started. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. We're well and truly over an hour now.
Man, I'm enjoying this.
This like ran straight through pretty quick. So like I looked at my watch and I realized we're like an hour 10 into it, but that's all good. What have you got for me? Is there anything for me that you wanted to ask before we wrap up today? Because I just like asked you a bunch of shit and.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have to.
Nah, man, of course. I love this shit. This is fucking on.
This is my job.
Yeah. How do you feel about like, what's next? Do you feel in terms of mainstream? Do you think mainstream media is gonna? I mean, a lot of people have been saying it like, oh, you know, like all these people on YouTube, or not even YouTube, these Instagram followers and things like that, these Instagram influencers. Do you think that the mainstream are behind the 8 ball a lot with that?
For sure. I think the 8 ball are fat cats who will get hungry eventually when the money dries up, and they'll find a way to protect themselves. They always do. The music industry did the same when iTunes came out, right? They were getting scared because Napster decided to rip up everything, and then they figured this other way, and then they made more money doing iTunes, and they're making even more money as streaming services. So I think like mainstream media will evolve because there's too much money there. It can't let go. Like the powers that be are billionaires. Like they're not going to let this whole empire fall over. But I think like the days of like feasting have gone well and truly. I mean, you'll know from your media friends that the money's not there like it used to be.
Yeah.
And you talk to any of these guys and they talk about the heydays of where like, fuck, you do all this sort of shit and people got paid heaps of money and they did all this crap. And now there's just like no money. Like even like selling them something, like you could create a really good show and like some of the networks won't pay more than like $7,000 for a fucking thing that might have cost you $100K to make. You know, like there's just like the money's not there like it used to be, especially in New Zealand, even worse so. So I think that the days of like people feasting in traditional media are gone, but I don't think traditional media loses its spot for a while. And the reason I don't think that is because the governments are even slower and they still fund so much of it.
Yeah.
And so I think the government moves slower than media because media is still a business for profit. So they have people to answer to. But the government, we don't really know. Like as a taxpayer, like if you don't do the research, like do you really know how much money is going to TV, like New Zealand On Air? Yeah. Like do you really know how much money is going into these places? You don't really know. No one really dissects the budget unless they want to know something that's going to tell them what their house is going to be worth.
Yeah, it's going to affect them personally.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. So I think that the governments, and especially New Zealand and Australia, especially, like the government pumps too much money, and the UK, BBC and stuff. Fuck, in America as well, they got NPR and all that sort of stuff. It's too much money, PBS, too much money pumped into it, that this traditional media beast has the space to play. And then you've still got too many big, large companies like, you know, like the car companies of the world or the telcos or whatever, pumping too much money into TVCs. They just want the cool TV commercial.
It's nuts.
They just want
it. Man. TVC money is fucking
stupid.
Stupid
money.
Bro,
stupid money. I want some of that stupid money. It's crazy.
Bro, so I did a commercial for it was like a vodka thing, right? For I can't remember who it was for. Anyway, like this is maybe 3 months out of teaching. So I was teaching in December and then I got this job in March. And then they paid me enough in that one. I was there for like 4 hours. It was the entire term. Like I got paid my entire term of teaching day in, day out, 50 straight days for 4 hours. Yeah. And I go, what the fuck is this shit? And then I was like, nah, surely this is a fluke.
Yeah.
And then it got rolled over, and then I got it again, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. We like this guy here who got in a TV commercial. And I won't say who they are because they're a client, but they got the amount of money that they got paid for that, him and his crew, was the same as what we got paid for one commercial. Like, they made a few cuts of it. They got one commercial for that one commercial that they made one day for 8-hour filming, something like that. We got paid less for 3 months of running their social media campaign, and they got it paid just as talent fee, right? Which is mental. It's for TV commercials. So because of that, there's too much money in the system still, and it's worse in the US.
Oh man, I was on Our Flag Means Death, and I was a cameo. I had like 3 lines. And that was like, I could buy a new car with them. You know what I mean? But I didn't. But you know what I mean? And I got to meet everybody that was on the cars. That was the payment for me was talking to Taika Waititi. That was the payment for me.
Yeah.
But I was just like, fuck, this is nuts.
There's too much money, bro.
Yeah.
So because of that, I don't think traditional media is by any way or any shape or form dead. I think it'll evolve because there's too much money. I don't think the people at the execs there are stupid enough to just let it all dissolve. People will look, media works, all these people got fired and blah, blah, blah. That's just corporates doing what they do when budgets get cut and they fire people. They don't care. The guys at the top are running a business, and it's billions of dollars, even in New Zealand, right? There's heaps of money there still. So I don't see it just crumbling. I see it evolving, but it'll evolve slower. I think what will end up happening, though, I think more so than that, I think the thing that will happen faster is what's happening with Mr. Beast and Logan Paul. Yeah. That those of us who can build audiences fast will just build our own products and start to steal the markets.
So that's 1,000,000% of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Because I see mainstream and I just go, it's just too slow here. This is just, I know I can do something. I could film something, edit it, have it up in about 2 hours if I needed to.
Yeah.
But with, all the red tape you have to go through, we can't say on this. Like, no, it's really funny. Like when I go, we don't really talk on Crowd Goes Wild shit.
No.
But Crowd Goes Wild, all the other journos hate my fucking guts, eh? I walk into the room, they're like, oh, fuck. Because I just go to the athlete and talk to them.
Yeah.
I'm not and all the media managers, they don't like me either because they all their job is to be like, oh, you've got Artie for 5 minutes. You've got this person. I'm just like, also, yeah. And I just go for it because they're people like I'm people and they know, and so, that in terms of I can do that anywhere and I don't need any hand holding anymore, Yeah.
No. And you just don't need there's a lot of bloat in these industries. And I get it. And people protect themselves and they protect industries and I'm all for it. I actually am even a little bit more cynical in that. I think the Mr. Beast or those of us in the world who create these products who disrupt an industry, I think the majority of us will sell out to the big companies anyway.
There's a saying you either I think it's you live long enough to be like
you
BuzzFeed.
Die the hero.
No, but it's not the hero.
But it's a different
BuzzFeed.
One. Yeah.
Because how BuzzFeed was for the people.
Yeah.
And then just little by little, they turned into this corporate monster.
100%.
Yeah.
If I know right now that if I, over the next few years, we'll launch some products as a thing to make me more wealthy, but also because we've got the team around us who can do it. And why would I not? And also for me, it's fun because it's I like the startup phase of a business. But the moment they're at a certain level, if someone comes up and offers me money, you take it. Go for it. Just give me the money. I'm out. I'll do the next thing. And I'm a little bit cynical in that. I think us creators will we'll take the paycheck. I think very few of us will try to build the infrastructure to Mr. Beast is probably a little bit different in that he's so big now. Actually, no one can probably almost afford him. It would have to be a conglomerate who would buy him up. And he would never buy the Beast channel or sell the Beast channel. But he potentially would sell Feastables. But then maybe not as well because it'll ruin his main brand because the way he's tied them together. As in he's done it for the people.
Yeah.
But I think outside of a few people like that, I think the majority of them they'll take the money. They'll take the money. There's more money in this world than we can think of.
Yeah.
And someone offering you $4 billion for your brand seems for one individual, holy shit, my life has changed. But for that organization, you just have to look at Apple, they have $200 billion sitting in cash.
Yeah.
In cash. Let alone all their other assets. In cash, they got $200 billion. And if someone offered Mr. Beast $4 billion for a Feastables, let's say, it's probably worth way more than that these days. But like, that's a huge life-changing amount of money, crazy. It would be so hard to say no. And you think, oh, fuck, he's cracked it. But actually, like, it's a drop in the bucket for these guys, the big companies of the world. Like, they're trillions of dollars out there. Like, so I think actually I don't think anything will change.
Yeah, no,
I don't think anything will change.
I'm feeling as if like the YouTube, the influencers that, like the Mr. Beasts, and I don't think we have an equivalent of that in New Zealand.
Oh, fuck no.
Not even close.
No,
And I don't mean on scope. I just mean on the ability to, that fucking work rate. Like he's looking, like, I don't think we do, but whatever happens in that space, like, I honestly feel that the mainstream will just go, like, what? And then when they get super big, then they're like, oh, okay, like we better be, and it's too late. It's just too late.
And also they just like write him a check. Like I always remember Shaquille O'Neal talking about when he got his big check. And he was like thinking, fuck, I'm rich. And then the guy who wrote the check's like, yeah, you're rich, but I'm wealthy. Like, I wrote you the check, And I think of that like with Mr. Beast, the Amazon deal. Everyone thinks he's cracked it, but Amazon wrote him the check. Yeah. How big's Amazon? Everyone thinks Mr. Beast fucking cracked it. But actually, Amazon was started by one guy who's now, there's a multi-trillion-dollar company who wrote a check to the biggest YouTuber to just go, here, have as much money as you want. Go play, make us some videos. Yeah. So I actually like, as much as I hate the traditional media model, I think it's broken. It's not going to be changed anytime soon. There's too much money running around. And I think all that's going to happen is that they'll evolve slightly. There's too much money. And there's too much money. And these big brands won't stop paying it. They just keep giving money for TVCs.
Do you feel that brands slowly moving away from traditional media?
I think that they're starting to diversify their spend because there's more options. I definitely think that that's happening. Of course, you'd be naive to think that they're not spending more money on digital platforms. And as there's more digital platforms with more people, they're going to spend more. Yeah. Like TikTok coming in, cut everyone's lunch, all the main platforms and a little bit of TVC. But mostly it just cut into Facebook and YouTube. And if anything, it cut into YouTube more than it did Instagram and Facebook. I think that they will change. I'm just a bit more cynical than everyone else. Like everyone else, like you often hear, I definitely think it's broken. So I just want to make sure that's clear. But you definitely hear a lot of people thinking, the fuck heyday's over. Like industry's going down. Look at MediaWorks. They laid all these people off. Big companies like that lay people off all the time. Yeah. And then they hire them back when they need to. Yeah. No one hears about them hiring them all back. Yeah. They just hear about them laying them all off. No, they lay them off because they've got shareholders and they have to do that. Yeah, when the money's back, they'll come back. Yeah. Like it's downturn in the economy. I mean, we technically have been in a recession since last year, right? Like shit happens. I just think that we're, as creators, are still such a, or people who make money as creator-led brands or whatever, are still such a small part of it. What I hope to see, though, like my ultimate goal is like people like Mr. Beast or the Paul brothers, or even what we're trying to do as a company is build infrastructure. And once you build infrastructure, you own it. And what I mean by that is like you build the NBA. And once you've got the NBA, you can build and sell products and make more money that helps you build a bigger NBA. Yeah. But then you still own all that infrastructure. Well, so if Nike wants to sell into it, you own the infrastructure.
Like I think a lot of times like ownership isn't like prioritized. No. It's just like, cool, like let's just make some stuff on. Because I've always kind of been like, what's the next step? When I started doing my podcast, I'm always like, what's the next step? I need to get better being in front of camera. That's bakery run. What's the next step? I need to be better at coming up with content on the fly. Okay, I got an opportunity on New FM. It's the same thing. And it's always the next step. But I think a lot of creators don't think about that because the next step I feel is that some of these companies are going to go, we need to start pumping a little bit more money into some of these creators. But at the same time, some of these creators need to be like, nah, not really. But I know they won't.
No, they won't.
Yeah, I mean, if some big brand comes to me and goes, hey, here's 10 grand, can you do something? I'll be like, ooh, okay. I mean, in terms of that though, on the backside of that, this is my next question I want to hit you up with, is the online gambling thing. Yeah. Because the pokies, like, I've been hit up, like, and the money they threw at me was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm cool. But that's my morals.
Yeah.
But then you see, what's your take on that?
On gambling money?
Yeah. On these influencers that are doing these gambling streams.
For-profit gambling, online gambling organizations, I don't like. I don't think, like I've said in this company, I probably wouldn't take them. I wouldn't take Sportsbet as a client. It's too much of my family has been destroyed by this sort of gambling. Not just sports betting, but also just like pokies and stuff like that. They've just been destroyed by it. Like, there's too many horror stories, and I couldn't sleep at night. There's not a lot of businesses I probably would like. It's probably only that and nicotine I couldn't work with, right? Happily take alcohol clients, and even though like I don't drink and like happily do all this other stuff, but like nicotine and gambling I couldn't do. Now, do I get angry at other people doing it? Probably not. Like, it depends on their reasoning. If they're doing it, to support themselves and their family, and they need to pay, put a roof over their head, and say, fine, get it. Like, get your bag, like, do what you got to do. If it gets to a point where you can start to let that go and do other things and you don't, then I'm kind of like, oh, come on, bro. Like, it's like, because sports betting, especially, and nicotine, like, are two of the, like, and alcohol is one of them as well. And I probably should not do that. But those three industries are, like, some of the most damaging for society. Yeah. There ever are, The only real thing that probably gets worse than that is, like, companies that profit off war, right? Like the Lockheed Martins of the world and, these sorts of companies. But like outside of those, they're like terrible, terrible companies. I think with the alcohol industry, the thing that's always had me biased is that I was from a hospitality background. So I understand like the culture and what it's about. It just means I'm bought into I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. But like, that's probably where why I'm lenient on that. But like betting, gambling, like, nah, I couldn't take it. Because the money's huge.
Man, because I've noticed it's always overseas ones. They're always from Latvia or, like Lithuania or somewhere like that. And they're always coming and they're targeting, and I get both sides of it. I get the influencer's idea that, hey, I'm not getting a lot of money from here. Like I need to supply something for my family. And then I get it from the other side of things, which is, hey man, like this is destroying our communities, and this is really hurting our people, our Māori Pacifica, and it's an interesting one. I got reached out. I've had 3 companies reach out to me, and I've always been like, nah, man, and that's because that's me, and because I know that could possibly damage a potential person that goes, I want Tim to be on my brand. Oh, he's doing pokies. Yeah. And that's not the entire reason, but I know that's
play the long game, right? Yeah. I agree. Like it's a short-term win, and I just don't think you do it. I don't think it's ever right to take those, but I understand some people's predicaments. Like I don't want to be naive that some people have to protect themselves. I get it. Like life's tough.
Yeah.
I think that it's a shame that people have to be in positions where they have the means to be able to produce content at a scale that they can even get offered that, but then not have enough money to then look after their family. Like it's weird. It's a shame that could be at odds with each other, but it is. Like I get it. But I do think that people, I often talk about that on this podcast. Like, don't take money too early. Like, don't monetize too early. Like, don't sell out too fast. Because it limits your ability to earn the bigger checks in the future. Yes. Right? Like, when you get priced in. Like, you get priced in at a point. Oh, he's 1,200-ish sponsored segment. And it's not just that the industry looks at that. You can't see yourself at 12,000 once you sold yourself at 1,200. Yeah. You're like, how do I ask for 12 grand when before I was only asking for 1,200, Like, some of the stuff, like, and then actually, like, when you're offered that sort of money, it sets you up. You start looking at the world a lot differently. Like you start asking for different things, and you can start going into bigger and better stuff. Yeah. So I'm always about playing the long game. How do you hold out for the bigger paycheck down the road? It's the one marshmallow now, the 2 later. Like I always want the 2 later. Yeah. And we have to juggle that with our team.
I feel as if you gain credibility with your audience, and you also gain trust. Like they trust you. They trust that you're going to be reliable. Because if you ask for something, if you say, hey, like crowdfunding, for instance, if you're like, listen, we're going to do this, here's what we need, you can trust that your money's going to the right place.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at the boys they do, I forgot what they're called. Viva La Dirt.
Oh yeah.
And they've got this huge, like they crowdfunded for $3.5 million.
Yeah.
And just so they can make a studio. But people trust them that's the money's going to go to a good cause, and it's going to make something that they can make more value of.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that trust piece is hard to win back if you sell out too fast and too early. Yeah.
But no, man, that's
awesome.
That's it. I don't want to. Yeah, it's been great, bro. Thank you.
Thank you for coming
it's like
on,
I'm
bro.
sitting here talking to myself, bro. Some of these things, I'm like, yeah, fucking yes.
Yeah. You always find it, especially like when you find people close on age, like it's no, because like, you know, like often a lot of people in here are like 23. And so like, it's like, yeah, I used to think like that too when I was 23.
Yeah.
But as you get a bit older, you start to care less as well.
Man, and I'm so glad that I kind of got this kind of success in my mid 30s because I was I was smarter about it.
Same.
Because man, if I would have got this level, like
same.
Fuck. Like I go to the malls and I'm getting people yelling, oh, bye guy, da 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 da. Fuck, at 25, I would have been like, shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? But now I know, no, these people have got the courage to come up and say hello to me. I need to reciprocate.
I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I'd be dead.
Oh, man.
If I had the success when I was in my 20s, like, because I started this when I was 32. If I had started when I was 22 and when it was the same trajectory, I'd be dead. I would have done some dumb shit, done some fucked up crap.
I would have been in the news.
I'd be dead, bro.
I'd be in jail or some shit.
Dead.
I'm fucking, even to this day, I'm like, fuck, I'm glad I didn't hang out with that person.
Yeah,
like, shit.
100%. I'll be dead.
Oh, but
anyway, bro.
Thank you, man.
Nah, thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming on.